Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this month's Curiosity Orbit for, what are we at, November 2025. This is, of course, the monthly news show that I host, where I'm going to go over both what I've been up to the last month, but also what's been happening in the world of astronomy and astrophotography. And business as usual, I think I want to just quickly go over some of the things that I've been up to in the last month. Actually, just in today, that's a scared bunny. Just in today, I got this one showed up in the mail today. This is not a new device. A lot of you guys will probably know this already. This is my first dive into smart telescopes. This is the Dwarf 3. As a lot of you will know, tiny, smart telescope, travel-friendly telescope. And I'm going to be looking into this a little bit more. You'd like to see some videos coming out with this. I'm not just going to do like a review, because there's been like 200 people doing reviews of this thing already. And I don't think I have anything else to add to that discussion. So I'm going to do something a little different. I've set myself a little challenge. I'm going to try. And we're going to try to utilize this. But that's likely going to come out not this month, but maybe next month, at the latest in January. As I said, it's just showed up today. And I only had a little play around with it in the living room. And hopefully weather clears up pretty soon. So I can actually go out and test it for real, do some astro photos with it. But that's all to come. It's going to be fun to dive in. So that's a bit more story behind that. I'm going to come back to that when we get into the actual news articles a little bit later. But other projects that I have been playing around with this. Let me get this picture ready. Here we go. Been playing around with this month. Oh, I got messed up my screen here. There we go, just so I can see you guys. Hello, guys. So let's go over here. Here we go. This was my dining room table this weekend. I managed to get my hands on a very, very cheap EQ6 Pro from Skywatcher. Very nice mount. It's the older one, not the EQ6R, it's the older variant of it. And one of the upgrades that Skywatcher has done between the original EQ6 Pro and the upgraded EQ6R Pro, I think, is that they've replaced some of the internal gears that are sitting right here, down here at the bottom. You can see them there. They replaced those with belt drives. And there's a British company called Astronomy that actually has these belt modifications you can buy separately, which I did, and that meant that I took apart the entire mount. You can see the motors are sitting there, and there's the new pulleys that's going on them there. You can't see the gears because they're on this plate. There you have, this is the right ascension worm gear housing. Here you have the declination worm gear housing still sitting on the declination axis, and there you have the upper housing with the right ascension axis over there. Polar scopes sitting down here. Bearings are sitting in bags because they were greased up and everything. It was quite fun, actually. It took almost an entire day, not quite, half a day. Take this apart, reassemble it, get everything re-looped, like fine-tune the backlash on the worm housings, all that, just kind of complete, like tear down and reassembled, and hopefully now I have a much better mount out of it. So that was a really fun project. I did record it all, so you will also likely see a video with that. I'm a software kind of guy, so these kind of things is fun, I think, because I don't get to do that very often. But even with my limited mechanical knowledge, it was quite easy. They were very easy to follow instructions with steps and everything. So that was quite easy to do, and definitely something that was quite fun. So you'll likely see something with that in the not too distant future. Okay, let's go over and talk about some actual news. And let me see here. What is the first topic of the day? Yes, first topic of the day. This was an article that's almost a month old now. I discovered it like just after the last week's Curiosity Orbit. So apparently, there was an astronomy club, or an astronomical society. That was they had a like a clean out the basement kind of day where they were just going over everything they had lying around, and they came across one of the original prototypes for the Celestron C14 Tricolor Edition. And you can see a picture of it here. This was a early variant of the Celestron C14 in a special color scheme. I don't think there's a lot different in it, other than that it just had a different color scheme than the other ones, with these like sand beige kind of colored forks, the orange tube, and then the black accents around the top and the rear. But they found this thing. It came out around the 1970s. It had been sitting in a basement for quite a while, and they managed to get it up and running again. This guy has apparently been restoring it and getting it back up to speed. So that's cool to see. Kind of a historic telescope collector's item, if you will, if you're into collecting telescopes. I believe they said in the article that there was like 3 of them made, and it's believed that this is now the only one in existence, that all the other ones have been lost to time. So that's cool. I love to see when people find old gear and get it back up and running and get some light with them again. So awesome to see. Okay, let's jump over and talk about some of the equipment, because there's been a lot of equipment like leaks and launches this week. First of all, I talked about Dwarf Lab. They also announced the Dwarf Mini. And this is actually one of the reasons why I have this here, the Dwarf 3. And you might ask, with the launch of the Dwarf Mini, what am I doing with the Dwarf 3? So one of you guys linked this article about the new Dwarf Mini that Dwarf Lab has launched over on the Discord server. On the community Discord server, we have this channel where if you spot some interesting news, new hardware launches, or anything like that, you can post it in that channel, and it just helps me also to find this thing. I wouldn't have spotted this if it wasn't because it was posted over there, so huge thank you for that. But after I saw that they launched the Dwarf Mini, I reached out to Dwarf Lab and said, hey, here's my channel, this is what I'm doing, would you be interested in collaborating around the launch of this thing? But apparently they're trying to do a silent launch, because there's been very little like buzz around this item, so they're definitely trying a very silent launch here. But anyway, the idea with the Dwarf Mini is it's a mini small smart telescope. You can kind of see it here for size, less than 1 kilogram. It's very small, and then it just a very small smart telescope. It's pretty cool. I think they have some stats further down here if you're going to look at stuff like focal length and apertures and stuff like that. Let me see. They also, just as with the normal Dwarf, they have built-in filters. So the Dwarf comes with a visual, what they call a visual filter, which is just an IR UV cut filter. Then they have the Astrofilter, which is only cutting the UV and just lets the infrared through. And then they have the dual narrowband. And this looks like it's the same they have here. And if it is the same filter they put in here, this dual narrowband is quite wide. The one in the Dwarf 3, I think, is it 30 nanometers wide, the peak around the oxygen 3 line. And I think it's 15 nanometers wide around the hydrogen alpha. So I think this should, in theory, be enough. I'm not sure if it's... maybe it is just enough maybe to reach the sulfur line. But I definitely think the oxygen line should be wide enough that it can reach both the oxygen 3 and the hydrogen beta line as well. So they are quite wide for narrow bands. But yeah. But we wanted to see if we could look at some specs. Yada, yada, yada. They must have a spec sheet somewhere on this page. Oh yeah, wait, so here they just compare it, size, Almost the same aperture, slightly smaller aperture. So they look like they have the same focal lengths, pretty much the same cameras, but because of the different sensor sizes, they put this equivalent. So it looks like it's going to have a slightly smaller field of view compared to the Dwarf 3. But a 1/1/8 smaller sensor also on the so smaller sensor, which then gives them this equivalent. I don't know what they do with the equivalent like focal length is, but it gives a smaller field of view because the smaller sensor. Anyway, if you're into dark telescopes, into smart telescopes, then Dwarf Lab has a new telescope coming out. And again, if you're interested in their products, I do have a video that's gonna come out at some point in the not too distant future about the Dwarf 3. Okay, let's move over and talk leaks and rumors, because that's always fun. That's not leaks and rumors, that's my merch store. There we go. Okay, if we jump in and we take a look here at the ASI Air app in the Google Play Store, and we go down here and we read of the new features. They now say they have support for the ASI 1400 MC Pro. And now that little line in a news update there has just set all the Astro forums speculating. Not surprisingly, because there is no ASI 4400 MC Pro. That camera does not exist. So people have been discussing, is this a typo, or is this a intentional or unintentional leak about a new upcoming camera? Now, if it's a typo, and it should have been, yeah, I don't know. Why would it say supported if it was an existing camera? So I'm pretty sure this is a new one. I'm not sure if they were supposed to leak it now. But anyway, I've been trying to make a guess about what sensor they might put in a camera like this. And I'm not really sure, but I've kind of made my best guess. And my best guess is that they're going to put the Sony IMX336 sensor in it. And my guess is that because if you look at the 24 to 26, those numbers kind of indicate their megapixels. So what's the resolution of the sensor? You also have the 62, I think. Yeah, I think it's the 6200 series. That's a very, very high resolution sensor at 62 megapixels. So my assumption was, okay, MC, it's going to be a color sensor. So far for this series, they've all been using the Sony sensors, so they're probably going to continue with that. So it's probably going to be a 44 megapixel Sony sensor that's good for color, and likely also something that has some decent low light performance. This is why I came up with this. They said somewhere here that this was intended for, I think they said, was it somewhere here at the top? They said that this was intended for like security cameras and surveillance cameras and those kind of things. But anyway, I think this might be a good candidate for a potential sensor. And I kind of tried to make a little spreadsheet here so we can compare the specs of the 2600 mm and the 6200 or MC, both MC, all the MC versions here. And then I kind of made a guess around what I think the 4400 MC would be if it is that sensor. So with the 2600, we have a crop sensor on it here. Here we are both looking at full frame sensors. I don't really see them going and continuing going much further up with the with a crop sensor. I think they're gonna go full frame with this, because if they go with a crop sensor and they're gonna hit those 44 megapixels, the pixel size is gonna be quite small. So this is my best guess. But as you can see here, the resolution is of course gonna be 44 megapixels, so it's gonna sit nicely in between the 26 and the 6200. And of course, it gives us a larger pixel size than the two others. Maybe they're gonna go up and get something with smaller pixels that also indicate a smaller frame, but I don't really know what the frame size is going to be. There's going to be some odd frame size that I'm not really sure about. So my guess is that if they go with this sensor, they're going to go up and having a bigger sensor pixel size. But this one is also only a 14-bit, which also indicates that I might not be right about the sensor choice, that it would make more sense if it was also 16. But I couldn't really find a sensor that matched the pixel, the bit depth on it. When it comes to the full well capacity, they didn't list it specifically, but my guess is because of the bigger pixels that we're probably also going to see a bigger full well capacity. So I put here in parentheses 70K. I don't know if that's going to be true. This is my best estimate about what I don't know what the full well is for this sensor. I couldn't find that information, but that is my guess around where it is. So hypothetically, this might be where we're looking at in terms of camera spec for the camera, if it's true. But again, like I said, this is really just speculations at this point. So I don't know what you guys think. Would love to know in chat if you have any comments or ideas, or think that I'm completely off, or if you think it's another sensor. But to the best of my abilities, I think this is a good candidate for what they might put in this camera. Okay, let's move on. I have a screenshot I want to show you guys. So this was posted in one of the Stella Vita Facebook groups, where someone had reached out to TubeTech that makes the Stella Vita, which is this competitor to the ESA Air. And he asked if there are any plans to add the ability to capture mosaics. Are there any plans to add the ability to take images over multiple nights by solving previous images to ensure the framing is identical between sessions? So we have this in the ASA already, where you can go into your image library, take an image and say slew, and then it will slew to that location, and it will help you, adjust the angle and all that stuff. And are there any plans to add that's the same here, framing assistance, where you can kind of help rotate so you get the same framing night after night. They asked specifically about support for the Pegasus Astro Power Box, and if they plan to add a setting where you can do a recalibration after meridian flip. I personally have a lot of trouble with the Stella Vita to get the calibration to work after a meridian flip. It always goes haywire. I always have to stop the plan and then manually go and recalibrate before the after meridian flip in order to get it to track properly again. So this would be a really, really welcome addition. And the answer from TubeTech was, hello, the upcoming UI 2.0 will add these new features. Now, obviously 2.0 indicates it's a rather large overhaul of the UI for the Stella Vita. When that's coming out, no idea. I don't think it's out yet. I have been quite a bit of time since I've had my Stella Vita powered up because of weather. But we don't have a timeline, we don't know anything, but it just looks like from this support ticket that all of these features are things that we are going to be seeing with the Stella Vita coming in the not too distant future, hopefully. Again, when, I don't know, but I hope it's not going to be too long, because that would be some really, really nice extra adjustments or extra updates to get to that device. Okay. Let me just see what I can get out of this. Okay. Nice. Yes. More equipment talk. Here. Daystar has announced the Sol 100mm, which is, if you don't know Daystar, they make solar telescopes. That's kind of the name kind of indicates it, right? Yeah, they make solar telescopes specifically for observing the sun, and they're making them, of course, with these built-in hydrogen alpha filter, where you have like extremely narrow banded hydrogen alpha filters. Like when we have a very narrow banded hydrogen alpha filter on our deep sky rigs, we might have a slit with like of like, what is it, like up to like 3 nanometers in, so that it takes like plus minus 3 nanometers around the hydrogen alpha. Here we are talking angstroms. We are talking nothing. It is so thin, that slit in that filter. It's not a physical slit, but no, the wavelengths of light let through. And it also means that these filters actually need to be powered, and you can see this adjustment knob, all kind of thing. But anyway, they've announced this telescope here. You can see here's the this. Oops, where did that go? What the hell happened there? Where did the pictures go? Oh, they have a slideshow. Oh, come on, guys. Okay, you can see it down there at the bottom. That portion there, that's the hydrogen alpha filter. You power it over USB. It takes just a USB port, so you can take that off the wall or from a power bank or whatever. You can use that to power this, and or from like a, I don't know, ESIA or whatever you have. It doesn't matter. But you can take that, power it, and then with this knob here, you can do fine adjustments to the wavelength the filter is looking at, so you can fine tune it so that it matches exactly what it is you're trying to do. Yeah, so okay, here we go. It's half an angstrom is full with half max of the peak in that filter. So that's quite narrow. As you can probably guess from the name, it's a 100 millimeter aperture. It has a focal length of 1,990 millimeters, making it almost an f/17, which is outrageously dark. However, it doesn't really matter. We're looking at the sun. We don't really care about. We're already putting a filter in that takes out 99%, so we don't really care if the focal ratio is extremely high, because again, we're looking at the sun. They do have a 0.75 degree field of view, so that it do pass a full solar disk. So you can get the full sun in the frame if you put the right size camera on it. We're going to talk about that. 3 kilogram optical tube, built-in dew shield, which I found quite kind of fun, because how much dew do you get like during the daytime? But anyway, Vixen style plate, Vixen compatible with Vixen plates or Vixen mounts, I guess. Yeah, comes with the ring, flat cap diffuser. But anyway, what I've also done is I tried just to kind of get a feeling for the sensors you can put on it. I tried to simulate it here on the Astronomy toolbox, and try to put different cameras on it. I got a slight buzz on my mic. Okay, hold on. Let me just see if I can... Is it only when I'm talking or also when I'm not saying anything? Only when I talk. Okay, then it sounds... Oops. Let me just quickly check if it's something I can fix now. Otherwise, it's something I'm going to have to try. And that should be disabled. That is disabled. And if I go... just give me like 1 second to get this done here. I'm just going to go here. Okay. Is it any better now? Or is it the same? Testing, mic testing, 1, 2, 3. I hope it's better. Same? Okay. Then I was hoping it was something to do with the post-processing that was running on the mic, but if that's not the case, then I can't do anything about it right now without rebooting my my soundboard, and I'm too afraid that's gonna mess up the live stream. I'm going to have to look into it. I hope it's not too distracting. Okay. Anyway, I was looking into this. Yeah, it's the field of view and what cameras you can put on it. So I've run it here in the telescope simulator. What you can see here, the square is is a rectangle around that image circle. So they said they had a 0.7 degree image circle. That's the square you see here. So imagine a circle inside that. That's the field of view you can see. So as you can also see, putting a full frame, which is the white box out here, kind of overshoots it. Like, you probably wouldn't put a full frame camera on this. I tried to also put a crop sensor, which you can see here. That would probably be a pretty decent fit, as you can only just fit in a fit the sun in the frame. Maybe you would put a full frame on it if you want to make absolutely sure you can get the entire sun, but there's going to be a lot of the sensor that you're not going to be able to use. And also try to put in the ASI 585 on it, just to see that you get a very narrow field of view. So this is kind of ideally I think you would want something that was like mid in between a crop sensor and a full frame, so you had a little bit more headroom above and below the sun, because that's very narrow and you can't really see if there's any like arcs going out. So maybe actually a full frame wouldn't be too bad, but again, with the image circle, there's going to be a lot of it you're going to have to cut away. But anyway, that's the field of view of it, depending on sensor size. So yeah, that's up to you what you guys think, if you are interested in that. Price-wise, though, it's a pricey one. It's 5,000 US, but that's those filters for you. But you can see here it also sits in quite a high. Oh, what was that? Did it come out with more? I didn't notice that. Can we see that picture again? There's some dates on all of them. Jesus, come on. February, January, April. Okay, so it's a whole new series where this is just the first one, and it's the second largest one. So they're gonna come out with one larger and two smaller, it looked like, which I'm expecting then also to be cheaper, the smaller ones at least. So, but anyway, this one, 5,000 US, and they're accepting orders shipping mid-November. So anyway, it looks like there's going to be plenty of new scopes coming out. It's going to be interesting to see the smaller ones in terms of their like field of view that you can get on it, but we'll have to see. So if you're into solar astronomy and want a new solar telescope, there is your chance. Okay. Let's move on to new stuff from Celestron. Celestron has announced the Origin Mark II, an intelligent home observatory. So this is Celestron's like upgrade from their original Celestron Origin. It's mostly just small, camera upgrades. They've been increased from 6 to 8 megapixels, so you get a slightly higher resolution camera. But overall, it's like a dedicated smart telescope. There is no, as we can see here on the back, there is no option for putting in eyepieces or cameras here back here, actually, as the camera is built in, not in the back. No, that would be too normal. The camera, if we go through the list here, through the carousel, there. The camera is sitting up here at the front, which is kind of weird, but okay, you do use Celestron. I have seen these designs before, of course. But camera sitting up there at the front, there is a built-in filter wheel there in the camera. It looks like you have to remove the dew shield in order to change the filters, so you should probably not be expecting to change filters a lot during the night, unless you want to remove the dew shield, in which case you probably also want to completely realign it and everything. It looks like, of course, it's going to be compatible with all Celestron's other gear, like they showed in one of the first pictures here. There you can see that is the, what's it called? Auto guider, I think they call it. They both have an auto align and an auto guide. I think that's the auto guide. Difference between is the auto align can only do the 3-star alignment and doesn't do guiding, where the auto guider can do guiding and not aligning. But anyway, looks like it is compatible with. I don't think it's gonna come included necessarily. I'm not sure, but at least it looks like it's compatible because they showed images without it on. But the kicker here is it's a very, very fast f2.2 focal ratio. So you can see here, aperture is it's a 6-inch, so it's a very nice portable telescope with a focal length of only 335 millimeters, making, of course, it's a very, very fast f2.2. So you can definitely get some light in there, very wide field of view for the size. Yeah, overall 2 micron pixel size, little small if you ask me, but that might just be me with an onboard Raspberry Pi apparently for all the controls. Did they actually show what's included? Solar warnings. I'm sure if they say videos, accessories. So they do show the auto guider as an accessory, assuming it's not included then. So if you want that, probably also be, because those are usually quite expensive. So yeah, new telescope from Celestron. Okay. So this is the point where I would normally go over what's happening in the night sky this month, but honestly, it's a bit tame. And nothing that was looking through it where I was like super excited, unless I've missed something. It was a little bit meh. There's of course still some comets out there. We still have 2 comets that you can still see. They are past their closest approach, so they are moving away now. But it should still be possible to see the comets for quite a while. There was also a very faint, what was the name of it? I was like looking it up earlier. Leonids. Very, very faint, or very, very not so active, I should say, meteor shower going on at the moment. It peaks at November 18, at least, approximately around November 18. I got all the meteor showers in my book, The Cosmic Field Guide, by the way. So you can just, Cosmic Field Guide. It's on page 14, I think. Yeah. There you can see all the meteor showers throughout the year. And this one is again quite weak. Only allows at 15 zenith hourly rate, so it's quite weak. Where of course we have the Geminids later here in December. That's up at 120, so it's almost 10 times as active as this one. So it's not going to be the most active one, but there is a small meteor shower coming up here in the month. So that's pretty much what I had for you guys this month. I'm sorry about the audio issues. I will do what I can to get that fixed ASAP. And I just want to remind you guys that, of course, I have my my store, deepspacebooks.com. I need a better domain for it now that it's also doing merchandise. Lots of fun stuff over there. Actually, show you guys. There it is. You can get like marks like the one I have here, the caution. May randomly start talking about telescopes. You get that as a mark and as a t-shirt. Also, kind of like this one with the Betelgeuse. You can see Betelgeuse here in Orion, and they say any day now, as people are still waiting for Betelgeuse to go boom. And of course, you get my book, The Cosmic Field Guide, is also available in here, and also in an ebook variant for those of you guys from the US, as it's become excessively expensive to ship books into the US, to the point where it's more than like twice the price of the book just in shipping to get it to the US. So if you're in the US, I hope you can make do with the ebook. But for the rest of the world, of course, you have the Cosmic Field Guide available in a physical book as well. So that is going to be it for for this time. Hope I'll see you guys in the comment section or on the Discord server. And again, if you spot some cool little like announcements or things that's been launched or fun updates or anything you think that would fit into this format, then there is a dedicated channel where you can post them, and then it makes it easier for me to find them. Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot. I was putting up my note. Okay, we're gonna jump back in. That's right. Proxy Sky came out with a new mount. I completely forgot. I thought I would put that in. So I have the Proxy Sky 17S, but they came out with the 17X. Yeah, you're right. I forgot that. Thank you. The Proxy Sky homepage is quite slow. Yeah, I'm still very happy with my 17S. The only issue I have with it, and I don't think it's necessarily a issue with the mount. I don't know if this happened with other types of mounts, but with the ASI Air, when you go to polar align it, sometimes, only sometimes, and I can't find a pattern, but sometimes when it takes the first image, it plate solves it, and then it does the 60-degree turn. Once it's done the 60-degree, when it starts the 60-degree turn, it just says move, it ticks up, says move 5, 10, 15, whatever. It just says slewing done, and then it takes the second picture while the mount is still slewing. They're still doing its 60-degree slew. And I can't explain why that communication fails. I had mine for quite a while. I don't think I'm gonna get a voucher. I think that's too far back, to be honest. I think it's products that people have ordered but haven't been shipped, or I'm not really sure. But anyway, that's the only issue I have with it. And all you have to do, if it does that trick where it says, oh, I can't slew, or it says it's done slewing before it's actually done slewing, is just to abort the polar alignment and then do it again. Then it works. Often, second time. I can't explain why. It's super weird, but and to be fair, I've actually had the same issue with my meat mount that also had a on-step driver. And I tried different drivers and stuff. I think it's something to do with the on-step drivers integration into the ASI Air. So, I don't know. But anyway, the UMI 17X. Can we get the spec sheets compared to usually have this one? Okay, this is probably going to be a little small for you guys, but let's try to open up a new over here. We can zoom in and look around at it. Okay, so like that. That's pretty cool. Now we can have the 17S, the 20S. There. Now we're going to have this 20S, the 17S. This is my mount over here. So mount type, that's the same. It looks like it uses the same motors, yes. It is slightly lighter. No, that's payload capacity, slightly less payload capacity. And it's a heavier body. So the mount is heavier and has less payload capacity, same slew speed. Self-logging, stopless, backlash, free V2. Oh, that's the wedge. Okay, so there's an improved wedge at the top. Wedge design. Okay. Okay, so the main thing is the home positioning sensors have been upgraded. Instead of having electronic sensors, you now have physical sensors sitting on it. That seems like that's to be. It's not the saddle. What's the wedge then? Is that the dual azimuth locking? Is that the polar alignment screws? That must be it. It must be the polar alignment thing that's been upgraded on it as well. Can we see some pictures? Maybe I can spot it then. Yeah, that definitely looks different. Oh, does it also come? Oh, I think they also added a power and data hub on the saddle. That's definitely not on mine. But this setup here is also different for the polar alignment stuff. That seems to have been upgraded as well. So you get slightly better gear for the polar alignment, and you get, yeah, definitely, they move the power button up there. They have mounts. Okay, so you also get a data and power on the saddle. That's pretty cool. It's definitely a nice upgrade. If you are looking for it, I'll definitely probably recommend this over the 17S. But no, I'm still happy with this, with the 17S. It's a cool mount. I really like it. It tracks really well. I mean, I usually sitting around 0.5, 0.7, 0.5 to 0.6 arc seconds of RMS when I'm guiding, which is like, I think my pixel pitch is like 1.2 or something on my telescope back there. So like I'm down to less than half my pixel pitch, my pixel size. Is just over 1 arc second. So the fact that I have an RMS less than an arc second, around half an arc second, means that I'm like half a pixel-ish in total RMS, which is like more than I need. So very, very happy with the performance of it. Anyway, thanks for just reminding me of that, because I completely forgot it as I was writing my notes. Okay, thanks a lot for this time. Again, I will see you next time, and I really, really hope that if you spot things, then do post them in there, as it's easier for me then to remember and to get everything with me with next time, so I don't forget it like this. Have fun, and clear skies.